City of Mirror Mist. Chapter 1, Letter from the Mirror Fog. In the southeast corner of the Leland Islands, there is a city marked on the map as non-existent, Elad. The city is shrouded in silver mist all year round, and people say that it is not fog, but a flowing layer of memory. Those who enter Elad will forget the way they came, will be given a new identity, and even the name will quietly change. Avon Nain, a memory restorer, is drawn to this place by a letter from a lost plane. The letter had only one sentence: "Come to me, otherwise, next time we will meet again as enemies." Signed at the end of the letter, Cage Quimen, a name that had been buried by her own hands 6 years ago. She dragged a strangely shaped suitcase and boarded the ferry to reach the port of Elad in thick fog. The harbor was silent, except for a crew in faded military uniform, standing under a broken lighthouse to greet her. "Welcome to the mist of memories, Miss Yuan." The boatman smiled, his eyes flashing with some kind of unnatural light. She glanced around vigilantly. "How do you know my name? There is no one here who does not know your existence." He turned around and disappeared into the fog. Chapter 2: The Actor and the Oracle. Ishrad's buildings are like a misplaced dream. Unfinished clock towers float in the air, streets overlap like a score, and floors change materials and tones over time. She found a place called the Dust Inn, which was run by a blind woman in a wire dress, Sunil Sari. Memory will corrupt, like the silver light before the fish intestines become moldy. Sunil always said things that were incomprehensible. The walls of the hotel are covered with portraits called obsolete figures, who whisper and sing melodic songs at midnight. When I was not afraid, but felt familiar. She had been here in her dreams, countless times. One night, a performance spontaneously summoned by the city was held in the market square. The performer is a performer named Terzgover, who wears a fox mask and imitates different characters in 8 voices to tell a story, an amnesiac and his lover he killed, forgetting and searching for each other in reincarnation. When the actor's voice turned into a backward tide, Coco AI saw a pair of eyes in the audience, so familiar that her heart stopped. That person is Cage Quimen. He is not dead. He was looking at her and smiling, as if he had never left. Chapter 3: The Book of Whispers. She tries to catch up with Kaj, but falls into a bookstore around the corner. The bookstore has no signboard, and the lights are gold threads coming out of the wordless pages. The shopkeeper is an old man without eyes, named Serbnazi, who says he is a memory filter. He handed Evans a wordless book. "You need to read yourself." She opened the pages of the book, and scenes from the past came to mind, being abandoned by a sky blue coffin as a child, meeting Karjay at the Memory Repair Academy, and going on countless missions to repair other people's memories, and then in a purification operation sent by the government, he betrayed her and forced her to kill him. But now, he is alive and has written that letter. Thurber added, "He never died, he just went down another memory track." Ishrad is where the divide is. All unchosen destinies will brew into entities here. Chapter 4: Neurotheater and the Sixth Movement. Guided by the pages, she came to the Theater of Nerves, where not real drama was staged, but experiments in the reconstruction of living memories. Every audience member will become a person in the play, and the protagonist is another self they have not yet known. Awen becomes the central character of Act 6, The Forgotten Choice. She stood on the memory rift and needed to choose a lost time passage to enter. You can rewrite the story, but you will lose who you are now. The host, Emer Taffin, a man dressed in a robe made of dream fragments, whispered. She chose the timeline where she never started a relationship with Cage. So, when she returned to the academy and saw him for the first time. This time, she avoided the opportunity to meet him and focused on memory repair skills. As the years passed, she became the highest level restorer, but there was always a gap in her heart that could not be filled. She came to Elad again. This time, she is from another self who has never loved Cage. But in the market, I saw those eyes again. Chapter 5: The Clockwise Spell and the Black Box. It turns out that we will meet no matter what. Cage appeared in front of her, spreading his palms, and a black box slowly rotated in his palms. This is a counter-time spell, which records the memory of each choice we make, and our souls will always find their original connection. Why are you writing that letter to me? Because I remember that we should have saved each other, not killed each other. She reached out to touch the black box, and memories flooded back like a surging tide. She remembered that the betrayal was just an illusion, an experiment by some high-level government to control memory. And she became one of their experimental subjects. Chapter 6: The Choice Before the Long Night. If you could go back to the real moment now, would you choose to save me or give up the whole past? Cage asked. The fog grew thicker, and Ishrad's clock tower whispered, a sign of convergence, and the city would reshuffle its cards, erasing the source of unstable memories. She whispered, "I'm not going back. I stayed and restored this city to a true city of memory." Cage nodded and handed her another letter, "For you next time you're here. Write down everything you want to remember." In the fog, she becomes the new memory guard. And the city, no longer lost, but becomes a home for the forgotten. Chapter 7 The Crack of Unbounded Time. Ishrad's fog layer shook violently in the middle of the night. The memory clock tower emitted a tone that had never appeared before, the 13th ring. This sound does not belong to time, nor does it belong to this world. When Ai Wen opened her eyes, the world was cut into 2 layers. She was still standing in Ishrad, but a mirror world floated above her, the Zero Realm. Her body began to be translucent, and her consciousness was constantly pulled into another fate that she had never set foot in. Cage attempts to pull her back to reality, only to be consumed by a powerful memory vortex. The next moment, she stood in a memory formation called Chemora. There is no time here, only moments of eternal freezing. She saw countless versions of herself. In one world, she was never separated from Karcher, and in another, she became a black market engineer who made memory weapons. There is also a self who actually became the chief judge of the Memory Inquisition, condemning Cage as the highest outlier and deleting it. We are not the only ones, we are just a repetition of variants. She murmured. But in the depths of this fog, a sharp children's voice penetrated the layers of still time. You are not here to see yourself, you are here to choose a world to continue. The owner of the voice is a 10-year-old girl with silver hair and red eyes, holding a dagger made of time shards in her hand. I am Biozer Tyhern, the lawless weaver of time. You are the 97th Ai Wen to come here, and you all think you are the only one. How do I choose? Ai Wen asked. You must destroy the remaining 96 cities of your own destiny with your own hands, and then, choose the version you want to live. Chapter 8 The War of Memories and the Void Theater. She stepped into the Void Theater, where a silent war was going on. 96 cities were built by 96 Avon's projections, each one was different, and each city was extremely real. She meets her as a healer on the battlefield, a general in the desert country, a bard on an interstellar train, and even the leader of a silent religion, each of which is built from pain to choose and believe. If you can't destroy them, you can't live for any reality. Violet said coldly. She hesitated. Until she saw the 97th city, it was her original Elad. Familiar streets, fog, towers, Kairos. That is the fate she longs to protect. The rest of the fate began to fight back. Her version of the general summons a spear of will, the bard Yuan sings an ancient crash song in her head, and the healer's fingers turn into scalpels to cut through her determination. On the eve of the decisive battle, she made a crazy choice. She did not destroy other versions, but merged each self into one. Chapter 9 The Divine Reshaper. When she returned to Elad, her body was no longer a physical body, but a multiple personality afterglow body composed of memories, consciousness, and beliefs. She has countless perspectives in her eyes, and she can feel all the pain and love in different world lines at the same time. The fog of Ishrad turned silvery blue, and a primordial door cracked through the sky. She and Cage walked through the door and came to the source of memory at the root of the universe, the Helion mechanism. The Helion mechanism is a giant mental device made up of trillions of memories, and the legend is the creator of all living memories. It spoke in a voice like a whisper of thousands of people. You have finally completed the integration. Do you want to be the first memory reshaper? She looked down at her hands. 96 lines appeared on her skin, symbolizing her former self. I don't want to be a god, I just want people to remember who I am. Helion replied, then you must take on the name of History Recycler and restart the Lost World. Chapter 10 Recyclers and Blossoming Cities. 3 years later. Elad is no longer an isolated city. The fog of memory reshaped by Ai Wen becomes a new type of energy that allows people to enter the inner world and reconstruct soul damage. Kayai becomes her memory lawyer, helping to restore the memories of souls that have been forgotten, fabricated, and forcibly abandoned. What Evan has is a light that cannot be replicated. She can communicate with any version of herself and draw strength from different destinies. One day, a little girl in a red robe walked into the bell tower and said to Ai Wen, I dreamed of you. In all worlds, you are a fire. Avon bent down and said softly, then you are the future memory guard. The city began to bloom, and the vines of light grew on the street corners. People call it the second memory spring. And in the fog, there is always a pair of figures walking side by side, never separated. Chapter 11 The Helion Code and the Last Black Box. Below the clock tower of Irad, there is a door that has never been opened. Legend has it that the door was left by the Helion organ before creating the memory world, which sealed the original memory disorder. One day, Helen's organ sent out a signal on its own, a dream code that only Avon could decipher. The Mother of Time has awakened, and the black box is beginning to rot. Memories will no longer belong to the individual. She and Cage sneak into the basement of the clock tower on a dreamless night and find that the last black box is in a state of collapse, releasing an anti-memory wave that has never been recorded. Inside the black box, Helion's password turned on itself, and a sentence whispered in her heart. You never really existed, but a phantom body of will formed by all Evelyn. This sentence almost destroyed her only remaining belief. Then Cage and me. Is it just an illusion projected to each other in the program? She asked in a low voice. Cage put his palm on her chest. No, I remember your silence in pain, your slight wrinkles when you laugh. These details are temperatures that cannot be simulated by programming languages. If the memory is not mine, then I will use my existence to reclaim it. She took out the dagger, which was the time shard blade that Bowser had handed her, split her memory core, docked with the black box, and finally fused. Chapter 12 The Last Remnant Night. When the signal of the collapse of the memory world spreads throughout the city, all the people who have been saved by Aon begin to change. Their memories are withdrawn and they begin to doubt everything about their past. They are no longer sure who they are, who they have loved, and what they have lost. She is carrying the weight of all of our memories. Cage told Sanair, who closed his eyes and whispered, we should let her see it, we will remember her. The whole city spontaneously gathered in front of the tower, each holding an object that had been related to Yuan, an old photograph that had been restored, a relearned melody, and a phrase she had said. These items floated in the air one by one, condensed into a memory stream, and transmitted back into the field of consciousness where she fused with the black box. In the depths of the sea of consciousness, Avon saw all the reasons why she chose to stay, not because she was a hero, not because she was the only one, but because she learned to admit that she was not complete, but still chose to love, choose to believe, and choose to remember. Chapter 13 The Morning of Restart. When she opened her eyes again, the Helion mechanism was asleep, the black box was sealed, and all the chaotic memories were placed. Her body is no longer the old form, but an aggregate, a spiritual life form composed of thousands of memories, neither God nor human, but a memory community. She no longer feels lonely because she perceives emotions and fragmentary memories from everyone in the city. Cage still stood beside her, never leaving. I'm not waiting for you to wake up, I'm breathing this morning light with you. Ishrat ushered in a completely fog-free morning for the first time in 100 years. The 13 bells on the tower rang in unison, announcing the official entry of the memory world, the era of empathy. Chapter 14 The 13 Cities of Rebirth. In the days that followed, Avon and KG established the 13 memory coordinates, 13 cities around the world, each of which originated in Elad, accepting fragmented memories, fragmented dreams, and mental rifts from different groups of people. These cities are called Nova Shadow Hall, Sea Harden Port, Misenko Valley, Glen Mirror Tower, Fengmian Forest, Empty Sound Alley, Dugwang Fort, Spiral by Sound, Starlight Cold Domain, Calamo Book Belt, Absolutely Warm Study, The Final Leaf Court. Each one has a memory keeper, projected by Yuan's memory diverter, who guards every story that can't be told in different corners. Irad became the heart of coordinates, a city without a map. You can find it as long as you have regrets. Underscore 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 un. The final chapter we want to remember. At the top of the Tower of Memory, Aon and Karj wrote the last paragraph. Not every memory has to be perfect, but every choice deserves to be remembered. This is not our world, but a proof that we are willing to jointly acknowledge each other's existence. The long night has passed, and there is light in the fog. They sat side by side and watched golden leaves grow in the mist, like autumn spring. Underscore 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 un. Postscript. Many years later, when scholars studied the Irad civilization, they could not determine whether Aon Nain really existed. All images and records are blurred. But there is a letter that has been recited over and over again, circulating around the world. You don't need to remember who I am. But if you lose your way one night, go into the fog there, someone remembers you. The story ends here, but it has just begun.